Hey, welcome to this episode of Inside the Voice Actors Booth. Today with me, I have Jason Linere White. He's going to tell us about his experiences doing voiceover. He's kind of an ADR king at this point, among many other things. Commercials. I know you started out with doing scrubbing bubbles as one of your first big jobs.
Yeah.
So speaking of, actually, how did you get started in acting in general? Was this something you always wanted to do as a child, or was it something that kind of came later in life?
That's a great question. I love to talk. I've always loved to talk. So during this episode, you might have to like put up the one finger. Okay, dude, let's get back on track. But it started when I was 4. I thought I was going to be a lawyer because I like to talk. So I thought, why not be able to just talk? And I guess I noticed I like to perform as I gotten older. So long story short, I was back in the 90s. My mom hears something on the radio. It says, if your child's outgoing, this and that, blah, 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 bring them down to the Universal Studios, Hollywood, inside the Hilton or Marriott or whatever hotel that is. There's going to be a showcase.
Things that you worry about nowadays that you're like, oh, is this a scam? Is this Barbizon?
Exactly. Yes. Bring your child down here if they're outgoing. So she heard it, wrote it down. I think I was about 10 or 11. And so we go, you get a number, you're there for about 2 hours, 3 hours, and it's literally that. It's just everyone you came with, so parents are all around, all the execs from Beverly Hills Studios. It was a school. It's kind of like Barbizon, but it had severe credibility.
Yeah.
Long story short, all you had to do was go up. You had a little sticker that had a number on it, and you just say your name and age. Hi, my name is Jason Linere White. I'm 11 years old, and that's basically it. And I live in Los Angeles. But so many kids couldn't do it. And so they were terrified because you're on the stage, there's lights at you, so some kids are crying. So there's an escort that'll walk the kids off, and that was it. And then you walk down, you talk to an individual from the school for about 20 minutes to see if that's something you would even like to do.
Yeah.
And I loved it. I first got on stage and tripped out, and it was amazing to me. I'm a third child. I had a sister who's older by 10 years, a brother still around by 7. And so no one ever really listened to me. So the fact that everyone was looking at me, I felt like I was seen for the first time. It was really, really cool.
Nice.
So I did that. We signed up. I started taking classes, which were acting for film and television. And what I loved about Beverly Hills Studios is that every single instructor you had was on television or in films.
Oh, that's good. So they weren't a scam. This was
totally
legit.
No.
Your mom looked out by finding the right place.
We did our research.
Yeah.
I mean, as much as you could back in the 90s at that time with dial-up connections, right? With all that stuff. And we wind up, and it was kind of like a one-stop shop where they had modeling, they had theater, they had on-camera. And the on-camera and modeling really took off. And all your instructors were people that you would see on Channel 5, Channel 11. This guy's on, he's on, Melrose Place. Oh, awesome, he's a recurring character. So stuff like that. And it was working. You would learn. It was every Saturday. You would learn. And then you would go on auditions and you would just start booking. It was kind of LA's 90s version of a one-stop shop conservatory rapid fire type place.
That's awesome.
And I loved it. I love storytelling. So I'm very grateful to be here.
That's really cool. So with that, did that lead to you being into Casper? Because I remember you posting like you did background work for that. Was that through that agency, or was that just like you started doing extra work, or what was that like exactly?
So I come from the school of, I was raised by a single mom, all 3 of us were. I come from the school of hard work. Mm-hmm. So if you don't know what it is you want to do, you got to do something until you figure that out. And so to me, that was, dude, background work. Let's just, even at the young age of 11, 12, let's get on set. Let's learn what we don't know. Let's ask people and let's figure that out. And with that mentality of, okay, cool, I don't know what's happening, but I know I got to do something, and this is work, so I'm just going to go ahead and do work. And I did a lot of background work. I got vouchers. Back in that time, I think you needed 3 to become SAG eligible.
Yeah,
I don't know if you know this. Yeah, I thought it was 7 now or something like that. Yeah, for a while, I think they changed that literally maybe 10 years ago to where now I believe you need 7 if it's on camera, because people were just doing background work and just jumping to the union and not really utilizing it to their fullest capabilities. But to answer your question, so I wind up doing that, and I'm not sure if you know this side note, I've been eligible for 24 years before I joined.
Oh, wow. you're holding on to that.
We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
The old school terminology basically was, do not join the union until you absolutely are ready or you have to.
Well, it's smart. It's expensive.
True. But that's also at the time way before the internet blew up and there was LA Casting and Actors Access and you could film your stuff by yourself, right? So I would just hold on and hang on to that eligibility, where in today's time, it's to the point to where you should join as soon as you get a chance. As soon as you get a chance, join. Like, spend that money. It's only going to come right back to you, you know? And I'll touch on that a little bit why. But to answer your question, yes, doing all that, my agent wound up getting me an audition for that. And the role was huge. It was like Christina Ricci's one of the students in the classroom who's supposed to be the class clown and kind of sets up things. And that turned into one shot of me. It goes from lines to, whoa, you're just going to be in this scene and not have your lines. We're running out of time. We're not going to record your lines too. Here you are. Here's your 3 seconds on screen. But yeah, which is fun because it's a learning process. We were in set for a while for that too. 2-3 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a great film.
Did they film that here in LA or did they fly
at
you
Universal Studios on the lot.
Nice.
I believe where they filmed it was one of the sound stages, but the house or something, because where they filmed the monsters, the facade was part of that, also inside Casper or something. They used a bunch of different trickery as they'll jump around and shoot. So it was something cool. But I love that movie. That movie it was such a shock to the system as being an actor, not knowing anything about that world, to being on set. And I mean, I'm an inner city kid. We never really had much food, but now I'm on craft services and there's
it's just like a feast everywhere. And that was a big movie too, so I'm sure they had a really
good
good
stuff and go back to the trailer. It's like and OD on like licorice sticks, and man, I missed that. That was fun.
Yeah. So when you did that inspire you to keep doing more on camera, or what kind of veered to being more into voiceover?
Got you. So that's an excellent question.
It just kind of happened naturally, you think?
No, so for young men, for young actors, we have this weird limbo period where we turn 16. It's like from 16 or 17 to about 22, where we're really kind of uncastable. Not so much now, but unless it's a high school film or unless it's something dealing with a father or mom, son type of movie, we're always just peripheral. We're always just the son who's in a couple of scenes and then gone, or we're just ancillary characters. And then right when you get about your early 20s to mid 20s, you can start doing your early college films and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So that happened to me. At that time, I started to kind of just plateau. And I started getting stuff I would see all the time. Okay, the main character in this show? Yeah? Well, you're going to be his best black friend. Oh, I just auditioned for 7 of those and didn't get them, or was on a Veil or met networks and then didn't get it. So I just started getting tired of that. And my brother and I grew up, like many people, constantly listening to family members and mimicking them and cartoons and being able to just voice match anything we heard. And I always thought, people are going to kill me for saying this, I always thought voice acting is where actors went to die. Because to me, not knowing anything about it, it's got to be easy, right?
Yeah.
If film and television is so hard, all you're doing is standing there and using your voice, it's got to be easy. I don't want to do that. People do cartoons and stuff. That's what you do later in life, not now.
So funny, because I heard the exact opposite when I was getting started. I heard voiceover is one of the hardest things to get started in. But go ahead.
I never knew any voiceover artist, so that's just something I thought of on my own.
On your own, yeah.
And rapid fire, to get long story short, it was 2012. I took a UCLA extension class with Janet Wilcox, and yeah, I started learning, and it blew me away. I said, this is tough. This is the hardest form of acting that I've ever learned or had the opportunity to do, because they can't see you. You can't lean on the fact that you're in costume so they can use their imagination to fill in the blanks, or they can see your facial expressions. They can't. It's all on you, but you still have to do the work. Yeah. You still got to even push it so that they can feel it or they can hear it.
Yeah.
And that's what I noticed. I think I signed up for Voice 123 on the free month that they give you, and was doing an audition for like a 30-second spot. It took me an hour to an hour and a half to do that.
Because your first audition for them?
I would
just tweaking it?
Yeah, but I would do it and then listen back. And I I was so ignorant in voiceover. I didn't know what was wrong, but I knew it sucked. So I was like, delete, retake. I was like, this is just not, it's not sounding like what I hear on TV, or this is bad. I knew for a fact I need training.
Did you get a callback for that one you edited?
Oh, not at all. Okay. I'm sure the client opened it, was like, delete, set on fire, like throw out the window. It's horrible. I would do it myself. Just the quality, just the level of the read. It was someone who you could tell was figuring things out. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't nothing to write home about.
Yeah.
So fast forward that, I started ingesting everything. My brain loves to learn. So I started listening to podcasts. I started going to conferences. I started going to workouts, to workshops, meeting people, going to groups, anything I could to find out about VO, the VORG, the Voiceover Resource Guide. I started reading that from beginning to end and listing people that I think I thought I needed to contact, and website place, everything, just ingesting, just that next year. And 2014 is when I really started hitting it hard, where okay, I think I'm ready to start auditioning. I think I feel as if I have enough knowledge that I need to know, or I know now where I should at least start to kind of launch and jumpstart this career in this genre.
So were you kind of learning by listening to other people, or were you actually going to classes too, or both?
Both. Okay. Everything. So I would watch everything I could that was online. I would watch, people making up their own videos about things. There's this one that my wife and I favored it. We laugh. There's this guy who records in his couch and just builds a couch fort, and he just records it. He has like a headset. It's hilarious. The level of quality that he's able to get out of that is better than you would think.
Oh, yeah.
And so I didn't even think that was possible. But here I am, a person, an actor, thinking that it was only one classification. I am a television and film actor. I never thought that I would be able to do acting by utilizing my voice. I never thought that. So I never looked into it. I didn't even think it was possible.
So was there a specific coach then that kind of helped you bridge the gap between the two? And what do you think would be the main difference, other than just, the looks of being on camera? Like what clicked in your mind when it finally hit you, like, oh, this is how you do it?
I guess there was a time when, wow, that's a great question. I'm going to have to think on that one for a minute, because I've studied with a lot of people, and each one of them, to me personally, has like this.
They have a different method.
They're a Yoda, for their particular craft that they do. I guess for me, what it was, once I started booking, it was once clients started telling me, when I was on the play to pays, when I was on like Voice 1, 2, 3, and clients would tell me the client loved your voice, and I would think, mine, because I come from the deep inner city, from the hood. And I was always told my voice is soft, you're not rugged enough, you don't sound like you're one of us, you don't sound black enough. So once I started finding out, wait, there's people out there who like my normal voice. I don't have to drop it down here or try to sound a little more thuggish. I could just be me. That's when the light bulb went off. And I said, wow, okay. In film and TV, I understand that. You got to just be you, because people will see it in a moment if you're not yourself. But in voices like that too, I don't have to put on.
Yeah.
And so that's when the light bulb went off. And that was around that same year, around 2014 for sure. I started work. It just kind of, it didn't go like this. For me, it kind of went, and I had to learn while doing things, So
the main thing was basically finding yourself in the copy. Do you do that with every type of copy, whether it's commercial or animation?
Yes.
Or got you. Okay. And then do you tackle each audition a little differently based on the media?
Yes, I do. For me, I never talk to one person. That's never worked for me.
Interesting, because they always try to coach for that.
And I say, when I'm there and the director says, act like you're talking to this, or if I'm at a workshop and the guest director will say, act like you're talking to your son or one person or your daughter or your wife or whoever, I'll say yes, and I never do it, because it never works for me. For me to be genuine, if I'm talking to that person, like when I talk to my brother, we say dude in every other word, or you idiot, we call each other idiots or morons. And even if you take that out, it still comes almost too conversational. You're still trying to sell a product or get an idea across. So for me, what helps is, I used to be a tour guide for the Queen Mary in Long Beach. I still imagine like I'm talking to 25 people, but they're all in black and white, and only one person is in color. So then I zone in on that person.
Interesting.
And that way, I know it sounds like that's a lot of work, but for me, it's instantaneous. Or if that doesn't work, I create a scenario where I'm on set, or I'm in a movie somewhere and I'm on set and I'm in a scene with another person, and those are my lines. And right before the Nazis come in and blow us up to hell, I need to tell you about this Honda spot really quick. And it's super intimate, and it's right now they have a 2.5 APR, and it just comes out.
Yeah.
And then you start to understand, and I don't have to tell you, but for the viewers, what the spots sound like. Oh, it's a Nike spot. I know what that's like. Oh, this is a Honda spot. It's a Ford spot. This is a Nickelodeon spot. You get the feel. And so I kind of
figure out what you would be like in that situation.
Exactly. Like, okay, well, that's a little too hype, and I feel like I'm pushing it because I can tell from my core. So let's throttle it back a little bit, and what is exciting about this? Well, I do like SpongeBob. I like this. Okay, cool. That's enough. Let's go from there. And then I always go with how it feels, never with how it sounds.
Yeah.
It feels right, so therefore I'll submit this. And I always do one for them and one for me. So even if they say we don't want any accents, we don't want any urbanness, I'll do what they anticipate they want, which I always think is suggestions, right?
Yeah.
And then I do one for me, which is just, here's how I would do it if I had the session, we recorded everything, and they go, you're done. Anything else you want to do? Can you just give us a one, forget it take, and just throw it out there? I'll do that on the second or third take.
Do you find those book the most? And when you go into the session, that's what they're looking for?
And it works backwards. They'll book, at least in my, I don't want to say expertise, but in my experience, they'll book me because they like that read, but they want that energy brought to the specs that they're looking for. So it's like that's a little to this. Can you just bring, exactly. Can you bring a little bit of that to here? And if you can do that, that's the sound we're looking for. But knowing that you can do this, and then you can also do this, you've shown us your range within, the 5 seconds that we've listened to your take. Because it's very quick that they'll listen and go, cool, I'll listen to this later, put that in the maybe pile. Sometimes they don't listen all the way through. The majority of the time they don't.
Got you. Now, you mentioned joining the union, and you were SAG eligible for, 25 years?
24 and a half.
24 and a half years. What was that moment that was finally like, yay, I'm SAG?
Yeah. To me, I've always been working, even when I was waiting tables or doing other jobs, which you got to have a job. You got to do what you have to do until you can do what you can. That's what I believe, or what you want to do, right? I've always been acting on and off. Get hired to do stunt work, or get hired to do a little bit of mocap here, get hired to do voiceover or on camera stuff like that. But it's once I started looping, once I started doing ADR, that stuff is fast, and you're doing it all the time. So I was on a show. The coordinator said, "We'd love to have you on, but you have to be in the union." I thought you were in the union. You said you're not. I said, No, I'm eligible. To me, it's like, doesn't matter. I'm in the union, I'm eligible, I can join anytime. He says, well, you have to fully be in the union. This show is going to start, we're going to continue the episodes next Tuesday, and this was like Thursday. So if you can join from either today or Friday or Monday, you can be on the rest of the series.
Oh, wow.
So I went down to SAG, I did a payment plan, said, hey, put me on your payment plan, stick, I'll sign the lease for an arm and a leg and give you guys tons of money. And I joined. And I've never been against the union, but again, growing up with all these people, these veteran actors who, when they were acting, was in the 70s and 80s, it was known as, no, don't spend the money now. Don't join. I could have joined when SAG was like $300.
Yeah.
Don't join. Wait until you get on a series, right? Yeah. Wait till you get on a series or something and then join. Yeah. But now you should join as soon as you can, because this is what I learned the hard way. Anyone who's not an actor but works with actors do not take you serious until you tell them you're in the union.
Correct.
It's just like I was telling my friend the other day, you need to hire a general contractor. You're in Starbucks and you're talking on the phone to a friend. The person behind you says, excuse me, I'm not trying to butt in, but I'm a general contractor. What do you need? Oh, well, I need an electrician. I need this done. I need this done. I need this done. Are you licensed? They could be the best general contractor in the universe if they're not licensed. And they say, well, no, but I do it on the side. The first place you would think is, well, I'll go with someone who's licensed. Yeah. Same thing for us. Are you in the union? Well, no, I've been acting my whole life. And you could be the best actor, but it sounds like you're not serious about your career, even if you are, like I am. I'm super serious. So I always thought, I'll just join when I absolutely need to. That was the moment when I needed to. And I kid you not, Christy, overnight, I joined, and that week, that upcoming week, I joined on a Thursday, I believe. I went that same day down to SAG because we got done early at Warner Brothers. Went down to SAG, joined. That week, I got it paid for itself.
Wow.
I worked that job on Tuesday, and then I got hired again to loop by more coordinators during that week, and I was available, and it paid for itself, and then some. Overnight, it's like...
Did you follow up with other coordinators to be like, hey, I joined the union?
Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing, but
cool.
Yes, you're right, because that's a thing too, where the coordinators will say, it's the best rebuttal an agent, a manager, or a coordinator can have. Are you in the union? Well, no. Oh, good. It gives me an out. Now I don't have to talk about anything else. You can kind of contact me when you join the union, right?
Yeah.
It's an easy out for them to back out, reverse, and take off.
Yeah.
So it stops the conversation from continuing because in their eyes, there's really nothing more to talk about unless you are in the union. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not talking down on anyone who is against the union, doesn't want to join the union, who is an avid or there's avid for non-union work. I'm not talking about
You're just saying they'll make more money the sooner they join.
If you want to make a serious career at this and have people take you serious and treat you like a professional, it always comes down to, here's the union people, these are the non-union people. And there's always this stigma of, we cannot mess around with these people. So these actors need this, this, and this. With this group of people, they can wait an extra hour for lunch, an extra 2 hours for lunch. We can just keep them around. If not, we'll just... And I don't think that's cool, but that will never go away. It'll never go away.
Yeah. It's cool that the union does protect us and offer programs.
Definitely. It protects us on things that we don't even know about, like getting paid.
Yeah.
They hound people to make sure you get paid. Yep. Residuals. Streaming services are a huge deal. With all these movies coming back, all these TV and film actors who did stuff back in the 90s and the early 2000s are starting to get residuals again for stuff that just starts airing overseas. And, you need someone to kind of facilitate for you, because if you're stuck like I am over here in the States, you don't know that stuff you've done in the 90s is being aired over in Amsterdam. You should be getting paid for that.
Yeah.
Everyone else is. Universal is. So I'm a huge advocate for actors.
Nice. Now, when you joined your agencies, were you non-union, or was this something, because you had mentioned that in your conversation, or had you already joined the union when you got voiceover representation?
Yes. So I had a few regional agents, and they're around the States and whatnot. And a lot of them don't have the criteria. It doesn't really matter to them if you're in the union or not. But
those are right to work states.
Yes, right to work states. But when I signed on with CESD, that's one of their criteria is that you have to be union, because all the work they get, like Abrams, is all union work.
Yeah.
And so they make sure that they filter that through, because stuff comes in fast, especially for promos. You might get an audition on Monday at 2 p.m. and they want you to record because they like you, or they'll stick your voiceover you've done at home or in your personal booth, and it fits, but they want to record you a little cleaner and direct you, and they might call you at 3:30 to do it.
Yeah.
And so you're playing with people who do this for a living, and so they try to make sure they keep you up at speed. So I love CESD. I love my squad over there.
Nice. Now, all the ADR work that you've been doing, was that something that you kind of saw it on your own, or was that through like agent auditions, or what does that look like for you? Is it both? Yes.
So ADR and looping to me is the day job, right? So even when you see Brad Pitt, let's say he didn't have millions, but he's up and coming.
Yeah.
Even when he's not in a film, he's in between projects, he needs to work. He's got to bring income in. So he'll do those horrible, that cologne, the cologne ad he did. It was in the movie theaters on TV, and everyone was like, yo, is that Brad Pitt with some cologne, pushing out some cologne? We've never heard, what? They'll do stuff like that. You got to do endorsements. You got to do something. We'll see a lot of athletes will do, Shaq, he'll do Icy Hot, he'll do all that stuff because you got to pay the bills. For me, the 9 to 5 is ADR and looping.
Okay.
Sometimes it comes through agents. Sometimes it's voice matching. Sometimes it's an actual session for a project or a movie, a film, television show, video game. Sometimes it's just directly from the coordinators. The majority of the time it's from coordinators. Where they'll bring you in, or they'll cast you accordingly. We have a high school, or we have, this takes place in this location, and you would be a great fit for both locations or whatnot. ADR and looping, to me, is also how motion capture is. speaking from my perspective, I never thought in a million years that I could showcase my art through either one, because it's something I've always done. I'm a career martial artist and never thought you could get paid for it. Never thought that someone could utilize that skill set besides stunts and whatnot.
Yeah.
I do action, weapons, and light and hand-to-hand. But, I don't get set on fire or get hit by cars. I leave that to the actual professionals.
Yeah.
So to me, that's a very small market, because if you're going to hire someone to do hand-to-hand, you would think you would hire, an actual stunt person, because they can take hits and fall and do all that stuff. But to backtrack a little bit, so with the ADR and looping, it's extremely lucrative, especially right now because of all the streaming services, because of Quibi coming up and Hulu and Netflix, Amazon, you got Peacock coming up. There's all these new quantifiable places where they just need actors for their products, and they're popping these things out all the time.
Yeah.
Dubbing is huge now.
Yeah. For ADR, what kind of voices do you match, and how did you find out that you could match them?
That's a great question. For me, I never like to say I can't do something unless I've tried it. So
you audition for something even if you think it sounds nothing like you.
Because my brother and I can always get in the pocket. If I can't match the tone, I can match the cadence and the register. If I can't match the register, I can always match the cadence and the tone. I can always match the inflections or something. There's always something that I can catch.
Yeah.
I don't think Will Smith, for me, is one of the toughest people to do, because he's modular. He's all over the place. Sometimes he's down in his chest. Other times he's high and up here. He's just tough. But I'm Michael B. Jordan's voice match. I voice matched Bill Paxton before, and they're like on the opposite side of the spectrums. With me, I like to just at least try it. And by making it fun, everything in my mind needs to be fun. There needs to be some type of amazement in what we're doing. Otherwise, it's very quick a job, and no one wants to work. So I'll listen. I have these things called aftershocks. They're made by a company called Trex Titanics, and they go here, and it's like a little halo. It sits here on top of your ears and goes around, and it's bone conductive. So your ears are open. They're made for cyclists and runners, right? People who run marathons and train. The reason for this is they can listen to music while their ears are open, so they can hear a Prius whipping around the corner, or they can hear a truck coming, right?
Yeah, I've always kind of questioned that when I see like people with like the giant over-the-ear headphones. I'm like, bro, don't cross the street right now. What are you doing?
Your awareness needs to be extremely heightened, because there's stuff coming at you all the time, right? So I stopped riding my skateboards once Priuses came out, because they were just taking skaters out, because we can't hear it all the time. You expect a car to whip around the corner. You can hear it before you see it sometimes. But getting back to what I was saying, I use those, and what I noticed, I said, wait a minute. If this works for cyclists, this could probably work for voiceover artists. I could probably play the track back. The mic can't hear it because it's playing through my actual jawbone, but I can hear it.
Wow.
So I'll play, listen, and at the exact same time, I will match the cadence, the tone, the register in time with the line. So click, I can't believe they sent you in here. Click, I can't believe I think I got it. Click, I can't believe I sent you in here. Listen back, I need to be a little higher. And you start calibrating. And then once you feel like you got it, you take them off and you just start doing the lines that they need you to drop in.
Interesting.
If I have time, I do that. If not, I'll just calibrate by listening and listening and listening. Our senses are amazing. What I notice is that if you let your subconscious take over, it'll boost up any sense that you need. So if you're eating something, you close your eyes, your subconscious will boost your sense of taste. So whatever you're eating, you can taste 10 times better. So what I do is I will focus on one point and just listen and play back. And by the fact that I'm giving my eyes something to focus on, means that they're not searching. I'm not looking at. I'm not distracted. That means my ears can get boosted up.
So you're
I'll
just listening to the line.
Yeah. Or sometimes I'll close my eyes and just listen and just click and play back, and then I can pick up the nuances. Oh, he has a click there. He has a pop. He has a little lisp there, which is kind of weird. Okay, so let me see if I can catch that on this. And it doesn't have to be 100% perfect. As long as you're in the ballpark, they can. Britney Spears, I'm sure you're familiar with. She'll sing a song. She needs to be here. She'll be here. They'll
pitch it up.
Auto-tune it. They'll melody match. And she sounds perfect.
Yeah.
So she's been a big advocate of that. Now she'll tell you like, well, yeah, they do some work in the background. But everyone across the board, from men of different ethnicities, different ages. If it comes through, I'll try it. And if it feels like I might be able to finagle it and kind of make it malleable, then I'll just go ahead and try it. And sometimes you book when you sound spot on. Other times you book when you sound decent. And other times you're spot on, you don't book at all.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now, do you teach this stuff with the Voxernauts? Can you kind of talk about what that is
Yes.
for you?
So the Voxernauts is like Jason and the Argonauts, Jason and the Voxernauts. The Voxernauts is anyone can share their knowledge through without having your name be tied to it. So I'm still an actor. I love acting. It's my number one profession. I don't think I'm qualified enough to teach or hold a workshop, but we can go and work out at the gym. It's like if you're lifting dumbbells, there's always a person there. It's, hey, what I noticed a personal trainer taught me was if you lift this way, you can get better gains or you can do 6 more reps. Oh, thanks. That's what it is. The Voxernauts
Actors helping other actors.
Actors helping other actors. We just did a looping workout last night. Nice. And it was literally just about what is a call out, what is a walk by, what's dovetail, what are all these different terminologies? How would you treat a high school set in the 80s versus a high school set in 2020 now? What is the differences and nuances? What are some of the quips?
For sure.
Yeah, all that stuff, right? Phones, there you go, you know? Yeah. Things like that, and what gets you up to speed. So when you go in, you feel confident of what you're supposed to do. There's a lot of times I'll loop a project or we'll do ADR on something and someone is new or there are a special request by the sound director or the engineer and they come in and you're having to teach them on the job. And sometimes it makes the project lag, or to me, what's more important is you don't want this person feeling discouraged because you don't want any artist feeling as if they don't want to do what they've signed up to do, what their passion is. And so you're having to kind of coach and coax this person into understanding that this is a specific way that ADR and looping go. So for me, that's what the Voxernauts is. It provides an affordable service for you to go to a workout and understand the ins and outs of whatever genre that is, whether if it's dubbing, whether if it's, commercial VO, whether if it's looping and ADR. That seems to be the hot ticket right now. That and dubbing. People love that stuff. And anyone can teach one. A Voxernaut we're just a group of actors, and anyone can join. Anyone can join the Facebook group. You can sign up for the newsletter. And if you have an expertise in some field and you feel that you want to share that, and we'll hold a workout for it. And people will come and everyone can kind of each one teach one type deal. Yeah.
And I remember I took a workshop with you a while ago about like a physical it was like an action reel creation day. Now you use that for your Mocap.
Yeah.
Right? Can you talk a little bit about what you've been doing with Mocap?
Okay. So thank you. I am not an arrogant person at all. I am not, this guy with a chip on his shoulder. But when it came to Mocap, I had a gigantic chip on my shoulder. I couldn't even walk through the door because it's like, well, I've been acting for years. I'll just learn what I need to learn in this intro class, and then I'll take off and start my own career because I've always been extremely resourceful, right? I can find what I need and figure it out and kind of make my own way. Within the first 30 minutes, I started slumping in my seat because I didn't know this world at all. It was like voiceover all over again. Yeah. But my brain loves to learn, and so I got excited. So I went to the intro class that Richard Dorton teaches. He's known as the Mocap man. He's been doing Mocap for over 20 years. He's amazing.
He's great.
He's great, right?
He's in Godzilla.
He's in Godzilla. He's in,
everything.
Everything. I've been playing him and killing him and saving him since I was 4 till now because I'm an avid gamer. And once I found out he was in all the games that I played, owned, bought, traded, gave away, it's like, what? It's the meaning of celebrity. It is. So I took his intro class through the Mocap Vaults. I did all their entire their training and went through their curriculum and started just learning more about that world. And I'm a huge person when it comes to how do I do more work. When I was younger, I always thought I was going to be the next Denzel Washington, the next Tom Cruise. I see my face on the billboard, you drive down the street. As I've gotten older, what I found out is I just don't want to wait tables anymore. That's like my biggest fear. And I just want to act using my craft. Yeah. And so that's Mocap, that's ADR, that's looping, that's voiceover work, that's on camera. If you can quantify what you do by utilizing what you already do, you can make money and utilize your passion and your craft in so many different genres. And for me, that was Mocap. So I just started hitting it hard, making reels and doing training for that. And auditions started coming in, and they still come in for different projects and whatnot. We're working on something now. I'm very blessed to be a part of, and it's been a lifelong dream of mine.
It's Mocap.
Yeah, it's
Nice.
Mocap. Yeah, it's Mocap amongst other things, and it's very exciting.
Yeah.
And just that world to me is very similar to voiceover and theater, but completely different as well.
How do you prepare for that? Because with Mocap, you typically have to memorize the lines.
Yes.
But video games are also very secretive about what is happening.
Oh, yeah.
So what does that look like for you? Do you get the script like the night before? Do you get it on set, and are you expected to memorize that? Or are they nice enough to give you a little bit of time to get to where you should with the memorization?
I like to make the only comparison that Mocap sometimes can be like being an actor in a soap opera, whereas the actors are learning new lines every day, or things are being written. Okay, instead of saying this to Erica Kane, this is going to get scratched out, and now you're going to say this to Susan Lucci, or whatever, right? A lot of times it can be like that way, and it's pretty much a collaboration, whereas everyone is there to solve a problem, which is we have to get this shot list done. What's the most effective and efficient way we can do that? And so everyone will chime in where I'll say this line and then do this, and an animator or an engineer might say, yeah, but try it this way. Okay, how about we try it this way? And you're trying to all get to the same destination. It can be tricky. What I notice is with actors, blocking helps a lot.
Yeah.
So you might literally flub. This has happened to me so many times where I forget my line, but I know I'm supposed to grab a rifle. So when I do, I make this motion, the line is there. And that's right, because physically my brain has linked up. These movements mean, therefore, I now say this. And so it comes out. And believe it or not, once they start rolling, everything really always just kind of clicks in. All the planets align. But sometimes you get lines overnight. You get them the day of. Sometimes you get them weeks in advance. Sometimes the ones that they've given you weeks in advance, they've already rewritten and changed. Sometimes your character changes. They change the name, the height, the ethnicity sometimes. Yeah, because they're not 100% locked down. Everything is just on art. And if they get anything approved, they can just switch it on the fly. So taking what I already doing martial arts and hand-to-hand and, all things physical, just being able to now utilize that in my craft, in acting, and getting paid for it, that's beautiful. I love that. That is so, encouraging. I can't even explain how someone like me coming from where I come from, that's an opportunity.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like Mocap may be the most challenging acting role an actor could take on based off of the circumstances that you're describing.
Yes.
Can you think of any other time or a time doing that where it was really challenging for you, and how did you overcome that?
Yes. That's a good question. With Mocap, I'll talk about that, and subconsciously I'll be searching in the files for a story. With Mocap, you're juggling. You're juggling lines, you're juggling movement, you're juggling, acting, you're juggling tone, you're juggling so much. And I'm not sure if a lot of people know this, but it's not just one actor who usually does everything. It's multiple actors. So let's say the Tomb Raider series, right? It'll be the main actress who's from the UK. It's her likeness. They do the face cap. They do everything, but they always lose something when they're shooting. Sometimes they lose a movement because the actor doesn't do a movement the right way that they needed. Sometimes they flub a line because a mic got moved when they're doing an action, right? Yeah. Sometimes their face isn't matching what the tone is. Sometimes they catch the movements great and the voice, but the face is off. So then they'll bring in other actors just to kind of like lip sync the movements. Hey, we have the face right, but we need the movements right. So you're going to be Laura Croft. Just do the movements or whatnot. So that can be challenging. Sometimes it's facial. Sometimes it's we're going to play you a line. We need you to animate your face to the line, and literally like you're lip syncing. So that stuff is really challenging. For me, I guess it would be standing up for myself. I was on a television show, and it was kind of like a Black History Month vibe type deal. And I was union eligible at the time. I hadn't joined, and they were just doing everything they shouldn't have at the production, not giving us any information. Craft services would keep getting moved, or sometimes there wouldn't be any after an hour, and they would have to send someone to the store. It's a very small production, but it aired everywhere. And I think I finally stood up and said, guys, if this, and this can't roll, I think I'm going to have to leave. And I'm proud of myself because I wind up taking off that day, and I did. I'm not talking down on that project, individuals in it, any of my colleagues, but it just wasn't at the level, the minimum criteria where it should have been, it wasn't there.
Yeah.
And so I was in my late 20s. Had I been in my early 20s, I would have just stayed quiet because I wouldn't want that to affect my career in any way. But the beauty of this is all of us who audition for something and we don't get it, it does suck. And you'll hear, don't talk about your auditions. Don't think about them after you've done them. I always thought, why not? That's the perfect time to reflect. That's the perfect time to run the scenario over, not beat yourself up, but ask, what else could I have done? Oh, I do this great thing and I didn't do that. Okay, so next time, if this type of audition calls for it, I'll bring that up if it feels right. Or, oh man, I flubbed that line. I wonder why that is. Is it because I got nervous? I guess so. So what does that tell me about myself? It tells me I get nervous. So I need to start doing mock runs at my house. Call a friend over, we set up a camera on my phone, and I pretend it's an audition until I get those nerves down, not entirely because they'll probably never go away, but I can get a handle on it. Yeah. So I love reflecting on auditions. I love thinking about what are some of the things I could do better or try it again. If I had another opportunity, what spin would I throw in it? So bringing it back, that's what I did was I kind of just walked off and I love that. And I reflected on the way home thinking, okay, I'm proud of myself. I'm glad I did that because I have a certain standard and things started to click. There's work I will accept and there's work that's just not right for me.
Awesome.
Because if someone else does it, that may be their thing. But for me, I don't think that's good for me. And then I promised my grandmother years ago before she passed, she said, just promise me you will never play a crackhead, a drug dealer, this and that, this and that, this and that. Okay, grandmother, yeah, sure. And as you get older and you start getting these roles coming through, you go, this is a great project. I love to be in it, but I can't. It's just not for me in particular. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and pass. Yeah. And one of the things I love about being an actor is that there will always be projects. Yeah. Always. That Mocap job you didn't book, there's going to be 50 more. That audition you didn't do, there's going to be 1,000 more.
There's going to be something that's right for you.
Yeah, right? So
do you think your grandma didn't want you to get stereotyped in those roles? Or
right.
And that's the reason why?
That, and then your career goes down the skids because other roles will start coming out towards that. I think it was Sidney Poitier who told Denzel Washington when Denzel was getting offered, I think, $200,000 for this next movie, and it was the most he had ever been offered for a film. So he called Sidney and said, they want me to do this role. I don't think I should do it because of this, this, and this. I'm kind of against that, but they're paying this amount of money. And Sidney told him, I'm not going to tell you to take it or not, but just understand this film is going to dictate, or excuse me, the next 4 films you do will dictate the rest of your career. Oh, yeah. So if you do this, it's going to get you a movie that's similar to it, which is going to get you a movie that's similar to it. And once you do 4, that's basically it.
Mm-hmm. You're typecast.
You're typecast. Yeah. And it's going to be extremely challenging, if not impossible, to get anyone to change their mind about that you're that guy. Mm-hmm. So of course, he passed on it. And I literally think it was the next 6 or 8 months, I think he did the Pelican Brief or something that audition
launched
came
his
through.
career.
And there you go. Mm-hmm. So I always think about that scenario as a little bit of both. It's a little bit of career outlook in the future. And I see it as this way. Tell yourself you suck, because we say that about everything. Yeah. Oh, man, that sucks. That sucks. That sucks. But when we come out here on the West Coast, we're so not in touch with our emotions. And East Coasters are very quick. They'll tell you what they think. If you suck at something, sucking at something is not bad. Yeah. It just means you're not good. But it's a very finite way of saying, oh, man, I suck at that. So therefore, I need to get better. I will do that. So when I first started at voiceover, I sucked. I probably still suck. Who knows? But I noticed by me saying that to myself, like, oh, I suck at this. Therefore, I got to get better at it. Not sugarcoating, oh, I'm not too good, or I got to get better eventually. No. You need a very finite of, this is black and white. I am here. I would like to be here. Now I know exactly how far I have to travel. Mm-hmm. By saying that, for me, I always look at it as, this isn't one audition. I just turned 39, right? Yeah. I plan to do this until 90s. Yeah. So if I look at it as, man, I didn't get that one audition from Disney or Nickelodeon or this, that's okay, because that is one out of literally hundreds of thousands that I'm going to audition for. So someone at Disney will hear that and go, I think it's his time. Or, you know what? This is the best that we feel that fits this project. We'll take this guy now.
Nice.
And it's, I might be in my 80s when that happens, but if it does, then finally I'm on,
Yeah. So I think what we learned today is be yourself because you
Always.
suck. No,
Always.
I'm just kidding.
When we're small, we suck at tying our shoes, right? And we know it. We're like, I can't do it. I suck. But you keep doing it, and you can. Next thing you know, you're running down the street. So
yeah. Well, I wanted to thank you, Jason, for being here today for Inside the Voice Actors Booth. You guys feel free to check him out on social media. What would be your social media?
On IG, what the kids say. On Instagram, you can find me of Jason_of_Angelus. And on Facebook, it's just my name. You can tell I started acting in the 90s because I have the 3-part name, right? The Jonathan Taylor Thomas, the Jason Linere White. You could tell.
You can find the Voxernauts as well online.
Yeah,
and Facebook.
If you're in town or if you're coming in town and you need help and it's a genre that you're not strong in, you want to get training in, go to thevoxernauts.com, check out what's going to be around, what's going to be happening, sign up. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. And I'm Christy Kate. Have a great day, guys.
Peace.